Do you want to grow your real estate portfolio without taking on all the work or all the risk? The best investors don't do it alone. They leverage partnerships to scale bigger, faster, and more efficiently. So, welcome to episode 5 of 6 of our leverage series, where I'm breaking down the different types of leverage real estate investors can use to 10x their growth. A new episode comes out every week, so be sure to subscribe wherever you're listening so you don't miss the next one. So why does leverage matter? Well, smart investors know how to collaborate, delegate, and share responsibilities so they can scale without burning out. And the right JV or partnership can make the difference between being stuck and growing exponentially. So in this episode, I'm going to cover the 3 types of JV partnerships, how to structure win-win deals, and common red flags to avoid. Let's dive right in. So the 3 types of JV partnerships. First, we have a money partner. A money partnership is best for passive investors who want to invest, but they don't want to have the time or the energy or the interest in finding or managing deals. So how does it work? If you're the active investor there, you find and manage the deal, and the money partner funds it and shares in the profits. So how does this work? Well, an example would be you've got a busy professional who wants to invest money in real estate, but they really don't have the time to do active real estate investing themselves. So they might invest, let's say $1,000 into your flip, covering all of your costs, effectively being a private money lender. And in exchange, they're going to get, let's say, 10, 12, 14% annualized return between the points up front and the interest rate you pay on the loan over time. So that's an example of how you could partner with a money partner. And then it might also help you to partner with an experienced partner. So this is someone who's going to bring knowledge, track record, or connections to help with your deals. This is best for newer investors who need credibility or they need some guidance and help, someone to hold their hand and keep them from making some big, costly mistakes. So how it works is that you, as the newer investor or the person who has the experienced partner, are going to do a lot of legwork. You're going to do a lot of the actual work, and you're going to check in with them. You're going to let them know what you're doing, and they're going to mentor and guide you and help structure the deal. They may give you some connections, do some introductions or things like that. So they're pretty much an advisor and a resource that you have to help you do well. So an example may be that you find a 10-unit multifamily, but you don't have any experience with multifamily, with getting financing for multifamily, with doing renovations on a multifamily, all your experiences with single family homes. And now you're jumping up to 10 units. You may partner with a seasoned multifamily investor who's going to guide you with how to do things in the multifamily space. They may connect you with their lenders for multifamily, ones they have used before. They may help you raise capital for your part of the deal, and they might help you negotiate some better loan terms, connect you with some contractors, help you review those contractors' estimates, anything along those lines. In exchange, they would often get a percentage of equity or some other value in the deal. And then the third type of partner I want to talk about today is an operations partner. They're somebody who's going to help handle the management, the renovations, or ongoing work so you don't have to. So this is best for investors who want the passive income without dealing with the day-to-day. This is kind of the flip of the money partner that we talked about on the first place, right? You can have your operations partner, money partner, they can go together. So this is the person who doesn't have the money, but has the time to handle the operations. And how it works is that the operations partner, you're going to find the deal, right? You're going to handle all the work along the way, right? You're going to handle the inspection, getting through that process. You're going to handle closing, and then you're going to handle either property management or overseeing the renovations. Pretty much whatever the work is, the operations part of that investment, you're going to be in charge of it and making sure it goes as well as possible. Let me give you an example that's a little different than partnering with a money partner. You, as an operations partner, could partner with a contractor and JV on a fix and flip deal. You bring in the capital, you find the deal, you do everything else, and the contractor does the contracting, right? They are going to oversee the renovations in that part of the timeline, but you're doing everything else. And then the profits are split 50-50 after the sale because you and the contractor are both doing that work. So that's one way that you could partner with someone as an operations partner. So how do we structure win-win JV agreements? And first I want to really emphasize the need of win-win. If you want to be in real estate investing long-term, we really want to have a win-win abundance mindset, right? Someone else winning does not take away from my winning, all right? I don't need to have all of the cookies. I can share cookies with them too. All right, guys. And we get people who don't want to share in the real estate investing space sometimes. And so I just want to clarify, like, I don't want to take it for granted that we want this win-win, but I think it's what's best in the long run and is best for being a good human. All right, let's start with that. So how are we going to have these win-win JVs? First, we want to be really clear with everything up front. Who is doing what? What exactly are the responsibilities? You want to define that. Who finds the deals? Who handles financing? Who manages operations? And have it really clear. That's one of the first things I would say. And then second, determine the profit splits and decision-making power. With the profit splits, you want to make sure that they're equitable. They don't necessarily need to be equal. They want to be equitable, which is, we're going to equal it to the effort or the value that someone's adding, right? And it could be the value of money. It could be the value of connections. It could be the value of experience. It could be the value of time. We want to find a way to consider, what do we think, like, what percentage of value is everyone bringing to the deal, and how do we have a profit split that represents that so that it's fair and a win-win? And so you also want to consider risk along with workload. So keep all that in mind. I know it sounds like a lot. I think when you get it out on paper and you start to think about what everybody is and what they're bringing to the table, it tends to be a little easier to at least get a rough start for that. The third thing is put everything in writing. All right. You always want to use like joint venture contract or whatever is going to apply to this specific thing, but you want a contract in place that covers the role, profit splits, exit plans. Let's have like a divorce agreement in there if things go wrong, and then dispute resolution kind of along those same lines, right? What are we going to do if we disagree? How are we going to handle that? All right. And if anything changes with that original agreement, if you guys decide, because it's not uncommon, it happens a lot. We started on this path and then we kind of pivoted, right? Somebody decided that they didn't have the time they thought they would, or somebody's bringing more money to the table. Make sure you get that in writing and determine how that adjusts your original agreement. All right. That's really helpful as well. And then with these JV agreements, I really want you to think about planning for the unexpected. We all think, just like on a wedding day, we all think on the first day of a partnership that everything's going to be fabulous forever. But what happens if that doesn't happen? What happens if a partner wants out? What happens if the market shifts? It's really helpful to have exit strategies in place from the beginning. And now real estate investors, you guys do this a lot, right? Maybe your plan A with this house is to flip it, but if that doesn't work out, your plan B is that you're going to burr it and you're going to just keep it as a rental for 3 years or something like that. And so we think about it a lot. And I just want to remind you or highlight, you really want to think about that when it comes to your partnerships as well. Now you've got this great setup, you know what you're going to do, you're going to start executing. How do you make sure that you stay on track? How do you make sure that everybody is on the same page throughout the process? Because that's going to prevent a lot of issues. I would recommend that you use some KPIs and you track them on a, let's say, weekly basis, bi-weekly basis, something like that, so that everything is measured with hard and fast numbers. It's transparent. Everyone can go look at it. Hiring a virtual assistant shouldn't be a guessing game. If you're ready to offload time-consuming tasks and scale your real estate investing business, my Real Estate VA Launchpad course gives you the exact roadmap to find, train, and manage high-performing VAs. Learn how to delegate like a pro and take back your time. Enroll now at adriennegreen.com/courses, and you'll find that link in the show notes below. So this is really important because without any sort of tracking system or transparency, miscommunication can happen. And that's going to lead to, either disputes. It's going to lead to wasted time. It's going to lead to misunderstandings. It's just, we don't need that. Okay. So what are some things that you could track to help? When you've got money for money partners, some things you want to think about is, what was your agreed upon ROI, and can we track if we're on target for that? What was the payment schedule? What was the capital deployment? Of course, you're tracking the money for the money partner, right? So we want to think about, how are we going to track the money, right? Then for experienced partners, we want to track, how does the deal do, right? Maybe we track how we're doing our mentorship check-ins, how often we're doing them, right? If the experienced partner is going to get a amount of equity or some financial reward for it, we want to make sure that we are getting our values worth if you're the one using them, right? So we want to say, hey, we're going to check in every week. We're going to have a call every week, or at least 3 weeks out of every 4, something like that. And you want to measure that so that everybody can see, if you've got like ilovemonday.com is a project management portal. So I would make a monday.com board for this, and I would be able to track, like, yes, I met with Molly, the mentor, weeks 1, 2, and 3 this month. We didn't meet week 4, but that's fine. But if I'm only meeting week 1 with Molly, the mentor, and she's not meeting with me the rest of the month, I want to have that tracked so I can go back to Molly and say, hey, Molly, I either need more meetings or we need to renegotiate your split, because the split we negotiated was based on this amount of meetings per month, and that's not happening. Or if you thought about it in the original contract, you would have terms. If these terms aren't met, what is the consequence, right? What is the change to the split or the change to the original agreement? So that's where, if we're tracking what was expected, what was set in the contract, we can see if it's being met or not. And then for some operations partners, what are the property metrics? If you are managing a rehab, how are we doing on the timeline? How are we sticking to our budget, right? How are we doing those pieces, and can we explain any variations? If you are doing property management, what does our vacancy rate look like? What is our response rate to tenants look like? What are those details that we can measure and put in that data so that everybody agrees if we're doing a great, average, or less than stellar job? And now, how do you do this? Like I said before, I love Monday.com. I think that that's a great place to do it. Very affordable, very robust, everything you need. You can assign tasks, you can have deadlines, you can have milestones, and you can create really cool dashboards to see it all really well. If that is way too high tech for you, start with Google Sheets. Just start with Google Sheets. Put it in there. You can do so much in Google Sheets with financials, timelines, deliverables. It's a little more manual than Monday.com. It's not as pretty, but it's better than nothing. Start there, and maybe you progress to Monday.com eventually. And then the important thing also with tracking is regular meetings. If you have watched any of my videos about working with anyone, the value of having preset periodic meetings is so, so helpful, because things happen in meetings, even if they're phone calls, even if they're Zoom calls, that do not happen via email or text. So maybe you have a monthly check-in, maybe you have a weekly, bi-weekly, quarterly. You just want to have something based on your project and how quickly it's moving and how much is at risk, what those meetings are going to be, to ensure everybody's on the same page, and it really helps with just transparency in general. What are some common red flags that I see in partnerships? First, unclear roles or expectations. Where things aren't laid out from day one, problems will happen. Mismatched commitment levels are another issue. If one partner is all in and the other has 5 million things on their plate and they could only commit half an hour a week to this, and they're constantly procrastinating, resentment is going to build and there's going to be conflict. So that's where, again, we want to set from the beginning, what is everybody's expectation for participation from the beginning. Third, lack of legal agreements or lack of updating them as things change. Handshakes don't cut it. You always want to use contracts to protect both sides. And ideally, this is a contract that is drawn up by an attorney. And if it's drawn up by the other side, you are doing a lot of vetting of that contract. You're having an attorney check it, something like that. Conflicting business values. This is something else that can really make it tough for a partnership, right? If you're flipping for quick cash, but your partner wants long-term holds, you guys are it's not going to work out, right? So we want to be clear. What is your goal with this? What is your goal with this? Are we aligned? Because otherwise we're going to be working toward different goals. And then another thing is not vetting partners properly. You don't just want to take someone's word. You want to check their track records. You want to check their past partnerships. You want to check their referrals. In general, with real estate investing, what is one of the most common issues I see with people who rent properties? They don't call up the referrals, right? And that's just for a tenant. That's not even for somebody being a partner with you on an investing opportunity, which is much more interactive and I'd say riskier. You want to call and speak to people who worked with this person before and find out what went well and what didn't and what you need to know going forward. So vet those partners. You can also I would recommend a background check, a credit check. Make sure that everything is above board. Okay. And then what are some ways to find a great partner? Start within your network. You may know people who are either already doing stuff in real estate investing that you need to do, or that may be interested in partnering with you for some of these roles that don't require experience. It may be a money partner, for example, or something like that. You may have a colleague, a friend, a business connection who would be a great fit. Second, go into that real estate investing space. Join investor groups, join masterminds, go to networking events or local meetups, Bigger Pockets or RIAs. These are all places where either in person or virtually you can go meet somebody who'd be a great fit for you. Third, leveraging social media and content. Posting about deals on your social media, posting about where you're doing well, where you'd love to have a partner, right? And being open about it. can attract potential partners with complementary skills, capital, whatever. You can say, hey, here's what I can offer you, and here's what I'm looking for, right? I mean, not like a dating site, but kind of. And then finally, working with a coach or mentor. They often have connections and can help you structure your first few partnerships correctly. They can often introduce you to a person who would be a good fit for you. They have, a Rolodex, let's say, or a contact list that they can use to help get you that right connection. So I hope that I have walked you through how you can really partner with someone well to set up for success so that you can leverage those partnerships to go further faster. It's so much easier when we have somebody alongside us, somebody whose skills complement our own so that we can learn from them, so that we can stay in our zone of genius in a specific project and have someone else be in theirs. So I hope this was amazing and helpful for you. Be sure to like and subscribe wherever you are listening. And if this would be helpful for another investor you know, please share it with them as well. And I look forward to seeing you again next week on another episode of the Freedom Blueprint.